Good. All right, good evening and welcome to the program Spot On. I'm sure you've already gotten a feel of my guest in the studio this evening talking about the International Women's Day. I have with me Risikat Mohammed in the studio, and there are very few people who don't know Risikat in this town called Kaduna. She is a woman who has proven over and over again that indeed to use the word disabled is not only politically incorrect, it is incorrect in itself. Risikat Mohammed has shown us that indeed there are multiple abilities in disability. And today I would have no one else but her to come and celebrate women, talk about women, and tell us what more remains to be done. 2021, choose to challenge. And so for someone who has challenged the norm all her life, I welcome Risikat Mohammed into the studio. Risi, you're welcome.
Oh, thank you very much, Madam Chakun. My name is Risikat, as she has said, and today we are commemorating International Day for Women, and also we are also choosing to challenge.
Choosing to challenge. You've done that all your life. You've done that.
Yes.
And you have done it with so much. I don't know if there's any time that I've seen you that you haven't carried yourself with grace, carried yourself with dignity. And, every time I see you, it reaffirms for me the fact that women and people living with disability are more than what we can see, more than what we have thought in the years past. But let's talk about women, because we are both women and we're celebrating women today. What are those challenges? They say, stand to challenge. What exactly are we challenging?
Thank you very much. Like the team said, choose to challenge. Looking at the world, there's a lot of challenges around that's against women. Choosing to challenge the challenges against women with disability. That's what the team is saying. That we are celebrating women that have been able, despite the challenges around them, despite the negativity around them, they have been able to stand on their feet and make it. And as a person with disability, growing up, there are a lot of challenges that is against you as a person with disability and also as a woman with disability. There are a lot of challenges, and this year is just a reminder, just a ringing the bell that you as a person should stand up, join the race, and challenge the challenges. For example, look, what we are saying is that access to education, which is one of the challenges of persons with disability. As a woman with disability, you're also facing it. How can we challenge the challenges that are around you, telling you that you should step back? Step back.
So just to help us understand you better, we're talking about a child who was born a girl or born a female and then also happened to be born living with disability. So in the first place, you even have a lot of people thinking that of what use is it to educate a girl child when everything will end in the kitchen? And then we also have the person now coming with disability in some form in their lives. So that's like a double-edged sword.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Tell us a little about you growing up. Some of the challenges, just a little, because I know there are many. Just some that you would want to share with us.
The educational aspect.
Okay.
It is very, very challenging because I grew up in a polygamy home. And looking at the cultural norms around persons with disability in the early 80s, which is very, very serious then. The stigmatization, I can tell you that sometimes some parents that in the early 80s, they refuse to enroll their children in school. It's out of stigma. Parents runs away from stigma because once you have a child with disability, the family is cursed. People are seeing disability as a curse. So some parents are running away from being stigmatized with that child. That is why they hide their children with disability at home. Because I know what my mom goes through, having me, Risika, as children. Because sometimes for her to take me to school, she has to back me. And a child of 7 years old still being back to be taken to school, you can see the kind of stigmatization she goes through. These are one of the challenges society is stigmatizing the family with children with disability, it is not so low now. I can say it has reduced a bit, but it's still there. Can you imagine a pregnant woman waking up and seeing a child with disability? Sometimes they go back in as if that child is a cause, or by seeing a child with disability means automatically they're going to give birth to a child with disability. We all know that it's still in the society.
People still do this.
People still do it.
So we're even talking about standing to challenge stigma.
So you can see, apart from schooling, how many schools can accept a child, a physically challenged child? My mom's, I know, despite her condition there, they have to spend extra to make me stay at school. She has to back me to school. She will make sure that my younger sister started at the age of 3.
Just because
of me. To support me. My elder, they can't go too far just for them to support me. And the school is environment. I went to Command Children's School, Wafru. You know how far the toilet is to the classes. So these are the challenges children with disability goes through.
Let's even bring it, because you just said something that prompted or has triggered the conversation back into the present. Let's take a look at our public schools and the challenges that females, and even amongst females living with disability face in the school environment. You pointed out one, the distance between the toilets
and the classes
is one of them.
Yes. What
are some other challenges that you've
I'm going
seen?
to tell you. During the menstruation, government needs to do a lot of things about this girls' child education. I know when I started my menstruation, during my period, I don't go to school because I go through a lot of pain and all those things, A physically challenged goes through a lot of, I can't access the toilet and I'm already on, and those kind of pains. This toilet is not accessible to me. I don't have privacy because I'm a physically challenged. No, the accessibility is not there. So you can compare my educational state today. So if I'm on for 5 days, 5 days I'm at home.
So you're missing all that is being taught for those 5 days.
5 days I'm at home. So can you start imagining what other girls' child with disability are going through, where there is no access, where there is no provision for a girl child with disability. So that is why when you look at enrollment, retention, and completion of education of girl child with disability, it's low. Because of all those obstacles, all those challenges that is stopping them. Because it's one thing being a girl, it's another thing having a disability. So government needs to start looking into this. It's very important.
Very important indeed, because when you put it into context where we're looking at a whole 5 days. I mean, that's as good as saying a whole week, because we only go to school from Mondays to Fridays. So if for instance, the period were to start on a Monday or on the evening of a Sunday, that means that for the rest of that week, you wouldn't go to school.
Yes.
And then tests could happen during that time. So many things. All right. So we've been able to highlight some of the challenges in education. I would like for us to move on to choosing to challenge stigma. We talked about, this stigma where we're saying she's not only female, she also came to this world living with disability. So tell me why I should even invest in this child in the first place. But apart from that comes from the culture, through the parents and or family and relatives, what other stigma that do you think that females living with disability, in this case, face in the society?
The stigma leads to discrimination, because when I'm stigmatized, it leads to discrimination and exclusion. Looking at a girl's child with disability, stigmatization starts from home and from there to the society. We have talked about the family aspect of it, the society, but let's talk about the social aspect, the structural aspect of it. Then let's now go to system. That's the system in place that is stigmatizing a girl's child with disability, a woman with disability. When you look at education, government needs to look at how can they encourage a woman, and not only a girl child with disability. What about a woman with disability? I'm thinking about adult literacy class for a woman with disability. Providing access, all the necessary support she needs.
In fact, let me jump in here, Riskat, and there was a word you used. You said government needs to encourage. And for a lot of people, you encourage people when you allow them to see someone like them doing something great.
Yes.
I know you know a lot about Kaduna State, so I'm just going to ask you, do we have any woman living with disability in any decision-making space? Do we have a politician? Do we have a person in the House of Legislators? Do we have anybody, female especially, living with disability in this area? Do we have any politician, anybody in elective office, or even appointed?
You're talking about political space. Even I can only say that recently we're just getting new employment for persons with disability in this government. In the high post, how many people with disability are there? Do you know the discrimination is so high that the political parties are also discriminating? We are not saying that opportunity, we're not talking about calling us when you need to rally, calling people with disabilities, show face that, yes, I am with them. Then when you campaign, after campaigning, you forget about them. Let's talk about government appointments. If the society are not seeing us fit, persons with disability fit to be in government, how is government on their own encouraging participation, leadership participation of persons with disability? I've heard about many appointments being given by His Excellency. All over Nigeria, we are hearing about different positions, different essay. But are they telling us there is no persons with disability that is worth to be recognized as a special advisor to His Excellency? This is a big state where we have educated women that have struggled despite their disability and are well educated, that needs to be recognized. How? If government wants to make, if the society is saying no, we expect the government as the father of all to encourage acceptability of persons with disability into different position. We are not talking about giving them employment alone. We are talking about giving them voice where they are voiceless. Recognizing them as a citizen. Because we know persons with women with disability are very, very strong. We participated in every system.
You vote. Did you vote in the last election?
Yes, we mobilized our women to vote. And I think even if the system is not giving us the voice, because we have women that have tried to contest.
Women living with disability,
yes,
who have tried
to contest.
But they were not given a chance.
That she lost in the primary. And we know there are a lot of stigmatization she went through, discrimination she went through, even to come out. What we want is the system that needs to change. When you want to change the system, make it by example. You know, we say live by example. I know our governor is trying, recognizing women, but my pain is that where are the voice of the voiceless? Where is the voice of women with disability? Yes, His Excellency has tried. I can say in this region we have the highest appointees of women. But where is the voice of women with disability? Where? I am making that call. Women with disability needs to be appreciated and recognized. We have women, we have lawyers that are women with disability in Kaduna State. We have doctors that are women with disability. We have women that are well educated that needs to be recognized and appreciated. Because by the time His Excellency is having special advisor on persons with disability, and that woman is representing women with disability everywhere, I'm telling you the system will change. People will start appreciating. It is what you see every day. That is what you appreciate. But when you don't see them, you believe they are not existing. They are not qualified to be appreciated. And the political party is a call to them. I think it's item for women with disability, persons with disability in Nigeria should stood up that we are not getting elected. We are not going to vote for any political party. We are not going to register with any political party because you use us. Enough of being used. This is a call to our women with disability across Nigeria. A call to women with disability in Kaduna State. If we are good enough to vote for you, we are also good enough to be appointed. This is a call to all women with disability. It's item for us to stand up. Let's stand up on our foot and say enough is enough. Challenge the challenge. Choose to challenge. We need to choose to challenge all the challenges around us.
Indeed. Because hearing you say that, even in the last elections, you went out there in the sun, you mobilized people, yes, and you went out to vote.
Yes.
And then to take a look around, and then we don't have any, not elected, not appointed. We don't have any woman living with disability in any office at all, not as a special advisor on issues of disability, not in any other sphere. Yes. We don't have them.
That's one of the problems we're having. The leadership is one of the way if a person with disability is given the opportunity to sit at the top seat, it changed the mindset of people.
It does. It will encourage. That's the word. The word you used was encourage.
Yes.
And I'm taking a look at, countries where they're striving and striding forward, trying to close those gaps between different demographics in their population. You find that that's why the United States, for instance, is having this conversation about more black producers, even in the music and movie industry. They're talking about more decision makers, more black women and even men in politics and, just about everywhere, talking about representation. Because when people see something or someone that represents who they are or what their reality is, the chances of them aspiring, even parents now saying, if this kind of person was appointed as an advisor, yes, or elected as a chairman of a certain local government, that means that this my son, this my daughter can actually become this someday.
Yes.
And this will encourage parents to send their children to school.
And that's one of the things I'm always saying, that issue of persons with disability will change. The face of exclusion and discrimination against persons with disability will change. No matter the different beautiful policy we have, if the people that the issue is concerned are not on the table, there is always going to be exclusion. There is going to be exclusion because You cannot tell me your leg is paining you the way it pains me. You can only feel it when you hit your leg. That is what we're saying. Close your eyes for an hour and compare yourself to a visually impaired. That someone that has been living with this visually impaired throughout their life. That is when you know how painful it is when you are being discriminated against. If you said, okay, I know how it feels, put something in your hair for at least 24 hours and someone be talking to you, then you know how painful it is when someone that is hearing impaired has been excluded. What we are saying is we are choosing to challenge the exclusion, the discrimination and stigmatization against persons with disability. We are not saying the part there, but if it is there is a need for full participation of persons with disability. No matter how beautiful, that's why we are always comparing ourselves with Nigeria is so good in domesticating different good policy, good law, beautiful policy, but where are the voice? Who are the implementers? Who are those implementing it? Who are the forefront of the issues? Go to other countries and see the way they're doing it. Issues of persons with disability is given to persons with disability. Not another person to spearhead issues of persons with disability. Because they know, the people that wears the shoes know where it pinches, where is it paining them most? You can think, okay, because there are people with disability, okay, let's give them 1 million. That 1 million may not be the issue. It means we're creating access for them. Let them be at the table. The right people, with right mindsets at the table. Let people with disability. What I'm crying for is that enough of representation, please. We are challenging representation. We want participation. Persons with disability should be given opportunity to sit at the table. Okay, there should be a desk office of persons with disability across all the ministry. Issues of persons with disability is cross-cutting.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say because I'm a person with disability, agriculture, Minister of Agriculture, yes, we have people with disability that are farmers and are doing well. So if you bring them on board, when you are doing your budget on agriculture, they will tell you how to go about it without even spending much. When you go to Ministry of Water Resources, go there and see them. How many people with disability that are into irrigation farming are sitting on board with them?
So, I mean, one must ask this question because while we are celebrating women today, these issues also affect, because since we're talking about the challenges of disability and also as a female, one must ask, why do we have problems when it comes to implementation? Because it is obvious, analyzing our society, it is obvious that creating those laws, getting laws to back up, a good action is not our problem.
It's not our problem.
We have those laws.
They are very good. And
very beautiful.
The best country in that.
When it comes to getting those laws in place. But when it comes to implementation, that's where the real issues come. So why that lack of will to implement?
That is just what we're saying, my sister. Bless you. Implementation period always have a problem because do you know that leave no one behind? I think we need to redefine Nigeria leave no one behind. When you hear the word leave no one behind, it is not only at the design stage. It means when you are trying to leave no one behind, means as you are thinking around it, you don't think alone. Start thinking with those people that have the issue. Then you now design, let the design come from them. Then at the design stage, already those people are already taking ownership of what is going to come on board. You are not feeding it to them. Because when you design a policy, that is why most of Nigerian laws are always having problems. Because you are feeding it to the people. It is not coming from them. Nigerians are not, the people that the issues that is affecting are not taking ownership of it. When I take ownership of it, even by closing my eyes, I can start thinking, okay, these are the things in the policy. These are what we put there. These are the results. These are the end results. So by the time you start designing, when you go wrong, when there's any mistake somewhere, we can easily correct it. But when you feed, you're always spoon feeding everything to the people because you believe they are not matured enough to take over the wheel. When you're driving, it's just like a car. When you think you can drive the car, the owner of that car, the driver is driving and the owner is sitting, sleeping. So when it goes wrong, it continue going any direction. Without the direction of the right person at the back, the wheel will always go wrong. That is the implementation. Government needs to identify that people should accept the capacity of persons with disability. Okay, now we have accepted, we have made the policy. Social protection, I'm coming from social protection, all the ministry have policy. Every ministry has a board. There must be a person with board. It's very easy. Every ministry have board. That's the board of board. I don't know the board.
The board of directors, or
yes.
Yes.
Then the governor can compulsory. Every ministry must have a person with disability on board. Not the issues of persons with disability is not for Ministry of Women Affairs alone. It pains me when people associate issues of women, persons with disability as issues of humanitarian. We are talking about human being, not animal. We are talking about people that are living. Our issue is not humanitarian issue alone, human resource alone. It goes cross. Why don't we have Ministry of Men? We need to have Ministry of Men if the issues of persons with disability is not identified. Seriously. Because when you go to Agri, you find issues of persons with disability there. When you go to Ministry of Water, you find it there. Go to Agri Health, it's there. Until we understand that, okay, let this person be there to guide them. So when they are drawing budgets, they will bring those people with disability on table. Not until you start looking for, we want to draw budgets for Ministry of Agri. Where are the JONAPID? When you are implementing it, you will not call JONAPID. When you are implementing when the directors and the commissioner will be implementing, no persons with disability will be with them. So they need to have a persons with disability in every ministry. So that person will be an eye and ear to them, to listen to them and advise them. When you are doing construction, ministry, any issues that is citizen concern, we know it is not easy. It costs you nothing. It costs you less. Just one person or two person can be on board. We are not saying government should employ 1 million persons with disability. We are saying inclusion. Include the right people at the table. When
you were mentioning JONAPID. For those of us who are listening and don't know the full meaning of JONAPID, please, can you...
Joint National Association of Persons with Disability, Kaduna State Branch.
Great. So, of all the people, right now, let's even broaden it and bring in even the men, people living with disability as a whole. Are you saying that as a whole, we don't have people living with disability at all in any decision-making space right now in Kaduna State?
Yes.
Not even one?
Not even one. Not even one. The old 23 local government, the State House of Assembly, all the commissioners, all the PAMSEC, and I'm saying it, all the government, Kaduna State government appointment. None. Both the special advisor, both the committee, every committee in Kaduna State, there is no seat for persons with disabilities. If there is, I'm challenging. I'm challenging them. Let them bring them out. Let them bring out the list of persons with disability that are in government. We want to know. We want to know more. If there is, we want to know that person. Because at least in Kaduna State, I can say we have almost 20 or 50 or 30 special advisor. Or more than in Kaduna State. We have more than 30. If it's not up to, I'm correcting. If it, let's say 20, but out of 20, no persons with disability is worthy of His Excellency recognition in the whole Kaduna State. But because I remember his first time, persons with disability really worked. And we know how far they suffered. And he's always promising that he will always give a special consideration for persons with disability. He owns us 3 things, and I'm saying it. Where is disability bill? Where is disability bill? Sir, the tenure is expiring. It's only 3 years. Disability bill is still packed. It's still packed. And this is a reminder call. We are challenging, we choose to challenge. A promise make is a promise fulfill.
You talked about 3 things, the disability bill.
Yes.
What are the other 2 things? Or you don't want to divulge that now? But just the bill for now.
Yes. Because he promised full participation of persons with disability in this government. And up to now, the manifest is there. What he promised is what we expect. Give full participation of persons with disability. I don't think we have any. Putting persons with disability first is something we expect from him because we love him and he shows he is with us. People with disability respect him and we love him and we are always ready to support, but we have not seen our promise. He has to fulfill it. We expect him to fulfill it because the promise made is a promise fulfilled.
Indeed. Risikat Mohammed standing up for females and people living with disability this evening as we celebrate the International Women's Day on the 8th of March, coming up on the 8th of March. And we'll be right back. Let's go on a commercial break. Are you going to choose to challenge? There are quite a number of challenges around for females, especially, like it or not. And then when we even drop it a little bit lower to females living with disability, when we change that again to females living with disability, if females face a lot of challenges, can you imagine what females living with disability are facing? Let's go on this commercial break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Spot On Invicta 98.9. Choosing to challenge. International Women's Day on the 8th of March is what we're celebrating. And indeed, we have with us Risikat Mohammed. Now, Risikat is someone, like I said in the beginning, it's hard not to know Risikat, especially if you work in the development space in Kaduna State. Very difficult not to know her because she has been an ardent voice, speaking not just for women, but for also people living with disability. And this year, we're talking about choosing to challenge the status quo. Risikat has highlighted several things, whether be it education or even representation, talking about stigma. There is so much that she's asking for each and every one of us to stand up, to choose to challenge in our lives for a better tomorrow for everyone, actually. And it is time for us to get to hear from you on this matter. We will be opening up the phone lines now, and the numbers are 081 40,000 989. Once again, that's 081 40,000 989 and 07087 800 989. Once again, that last number is 07087 800 989. Choose to challenge. So many hurdles and challenges that not just women, but also women living with disability have to pass through. While we're waiting for calls, I mean, the time is not on our side, but as soon as calls come in, we will take them. Let me come back to you, Rizkat Mohammed, in the studio. Once again, thank you for availing your time for us today, because indeed, I mean, if anyone were to see you, the passion that drives you is the only thing that could have brought you out at this time to be able to, come to Invicta and talk to us this evening. Now, let's talk about something that we haven't touched on, I would say, and that is the challenge of, I don't know if you know about this, but the challenge of females, especially those living with disability, and their pay at the workplace. We've talked about representation, which is zero, especially in places of decision making. But when it comes to even at ordinary jobs, do you have an idea about whether or not there is a gap in, what females living with disability, or even females at all, are paid as against their male counterparts?
Actually, like what we're saying about, we're talking about there's the discrepancy, that's the differences between payroll.
Yes.
There's like dependency rates for men and none for the women. It has been long in Nigeria. I think other countries have already stopped that on that dependency rate. I think Nigeria needs to, not only Kaduna, Nigeria needs to work on that dependency rate, that because they believe the men have more to pay for than the women. And so, but when you look at the society now, the society as a whole, things have changed. Most homes, you see some women are even, some houses are headed by a woman. So it has changed. I don't know what Nigeria needs to redefine is that, what about if that lady is a widow? What about if she is a single mother? About a divorcee? How are we going to take care of such, like what you're saying? I think it's high time for that to change. Like payment, whether salary is under the tax. That's the tax. That's the out of the tax. The tax change based on the male and the female. When you are a government or a civil servant, it changes because they consider the man as more around him than the women. There's those that are depending on the men.
And that's not always the case.
Sometimes it needs to, I think what you're in that side, as you're saying, needs to be redefined. Looking at the stage, there should be a clause identifying the societal stage we are. Before, when a woman is married, the men take full charges of everything. But these days, some men are married, but is household headed by a woman.
Indeed.
So how are you going to take care of that?
I also know that you work in the areas of sexual and gender-based violence against women and all of this. Can you tell us a little about this as time is running? But do you have issues like this to back, situations that you've seen of sexual and gender-based violence?
Yes, I'm just coming from, when you called me, I was just coming from a meeting because we have our organization have trained community mobilizer against violence against women with disability. We trained some women with disability as an advocate. We have women in Zaria, we have in Kaduna South and Kaduna North that are women with disability working on the issue. Because we believe, first of all, the issues around violence against women with disability is silent. The parents are trying to protect their image. And, like I said, stigma, running away from stigmatization, sorry. A girl child with disability, if she is raped, first of all, the parent will be saying, who will believe? That's believed. So issues of disability, women with disability is very, very sensitive.
I'm actually amazed because someone actually said something and I was offended that, can a person, a female living with disability be sexually, assaulted or even active at all, or even assaulted or experience violence, sexual violence. And I was taken aback because now that you're saying it, it goes to show that this is not a rare school of thought. A lot of people think like this.
Let me tell you the truth about violence against women with disability. A girl's child with disability starts from home. And people tend to ignore it because they believe that person is helping. Because that's the excuse.
Helping how?
Helping. Because you know that a person with disability can be sexually aroused by an aide. Your aide, if that person, if the disability is complex, especially mental disability, the aide sometimes sexually arouse them. The people helping them. Especially, there are a lot of things happening. It's it's a complex issue. When you look at persons with disability, when I have fixed a lot of things, sometimes people tend to be trying to help you and be touching you as a female. This is not right. But if when they're trying,
they pretend like they're helping
you. But when you complain, that is why some parents tend to turn blind eyes to it out of ignorance. And it has exposed some of our people, girls, child with disability, to violence at early age, sexual rape. There's someone raped. It is not easy. It is when you go closer to a person with disability, when you listen, because I won't lie to you, it is not easy for a person with disability to come out and say it, because they have low self-esteem, and it's very hard for them to come out publicly or share issue with other people until they are in a comfortable zone. We know that is one of the issues we're trying to work on. We grow up facing discrimination in family, so the trust is no more there. So you believe when you are with your fellow persons with disability, you feel more relaxed because you believe she understands what you're going through. So they open up to us and we know what they're going through. So something of 5 years, someone will tell you, when I was 10 years old, this is what our neighbor did to me. But how many, have you been hearing cases of persons with disability reported?
No,
because these are
persons,
someone that cannot talk, how will they express themselves? Or someone that is afraid, if I report you, you won't be there to help me tomorrow. Those are the fears that is in the mind of some persons with a female girl child with disability.
Indeed, you have given us quite a lot to think about this evening, Riskat Mohammed. When we talk about sexual and gender-based violence, indeed, even for someone who has worked in this field for quite a while, I must say that hearing about sexual assault on a female living with disability, is something that I haven't had. And you just opened my eyes. The fact that there are people who do not want to speak up because they're afraid that the help they have now, they might not have again. And there are people taking advantage of this. And then we also have people who cannot even speak.
Yes.
So how do you explain that you are being assaulted? There are people who cannot see, females that cannot see. They don't even know the face of their assaulter.
Yes.
Indeed, there is a lot to think about. This evening, you've given us food for thought. I know that you've given me food for thought, and I do hope that those people out there who are listening, unfortunately, our calls didn't come in. I think I saw 1 or 2, but they were too short and they went off. I hope that you've given enough for us to think about. I know I have. I'd like to thank you so much, Riskat Mohammed. In the coming days, we hope to still have you come talk to us more, because we will continue to talk until it changes. We will choose to challenge. Thank you so much, Riskat Mohammed.
Thank you very much.
was a pleasure to have you, as always, Rizikat Mohammed. You've been listening to Spot On Invicta 98.9. Are you going to choose to challenge? Or are you just going to go your merry way and think it doesn't affect you? The thing about society is what goes around comes around. If we continue to leave people behind, they say leave no man behind, and we have left a lot of people behind. If we don't start to challenge the status quo, if we don't choose to challenge, then will the status quo change? Except if you're satisfied with what you have right now, the society that you see right now. If you're not satisfied, please choose to challenge.